Hi, I'm Teresa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a second part to a video I did previously where I recommended you a sapphic book based on if you had enjoyed a other popular book or you like the concept of it. And so I'm doing that again. I've got 6 more book recommendations for you. I can only apologise because 2 of them aren't yet out. I'm just very excited about them, okay? So I want to talk about them and they just fit these prompts so perfectly I couldn't not include them. So first up, if you enjoyed Scythe, I think you'll really enjoy Afterlove, which just came out recently in July. These 2 books both deal with Grim Reapers. They're really reluctant to be in the positions they are. They really just don't want to be Reapers, but they have to grow into their role and learn how to reap, basically. And you deal with questions of life and death and like all of that big afterlife things. And I just think that if you enjoyed the kind of concept of this one and the Reapers, or even if you didn't, like me, I personally did not like it. I read it this month. Wasn't good. But I think that if you enjoyed the kind of concept or you like the sound of it, then you would also enjoy Afterlove. So Afterlove follows Ash, and she and her girlfriend Poppy are just living. They're having the greatest time. They're so in love. But one night, tragically, Ash gets in a car crash and she dies. And she's the last person to die in her area that year, and so she becomes a Reaper in the afterlife, and she joins this group of fierce girl Reapers who reap the souls of people in their city, and you get kind of assigned a group. And so Ash is assigned other young teenagers who have sudden tragic deaths, and we follow both her relationship with Poppy as it grows. This book is split into 2 halves. The kind of before part where she meets Poppy and falls in love with her and they go on so many sweet dates and it's just so good. And then into second part where we follow Ash in the afterlife, adjusting to her new role and new life. And this has just got the sweetest romance. I loved them both together so much, but it's also so bittersweet as well because they're talking about the future and things like that, and you just know that Ash is going to die, that they're not going to see that, and it's really emotional, but you're also just absolutely loving them getting together, but have this sense of dread of what's to come next, and it's just so good. I definitely recommend it. Next up, if you enjoyed The Perks of Being a Wallflower, you will enjoy Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan. So I can't lie, it has been a good while since I've read The Perks of Being a Wallflower, but from the kind of concept that I know and I remember, this really deals with following someone who's existed on the kind of outside of the social sphere, and as he kind of gets into the limelight, into the spotlight, and meets all these new friends and has all these new adventures, and that is exactly what you get in Late to the Party, except you get a lesbian main character really exploring her sexuality for the first time. You get her first romance, you get her friendship with another gay boy, and kind of what it means to be gay in their community, and dealing with friendships and everything. It's just so good and so fun. So this follows Cody, and as I've kind of already mentioned, the big thing that links these 2 books, she is a wallflower. And at the beginning of the summer before her senior year, her and her friends are talking about how they've really always just existed as these wallflowers on the edge of the social sphere, and how they would like to join in and have some of the same experiences as the popular kids. And so the 3 of them go to their first house party, and there Cody meets a boy who's kissing another boy. And this boy, Ricky, and her, they begin this kind of friendship, and he's one of the popular boys, so he really takes her under his wing to have this summer of fun and romance and friendship and all these new experiences. And you deal very heavily with friendships, with Cody's kind of internal dilemma and how she exists as a wallflower and her feelings of being inadequate for that and things like that. And this really hit home with me because I've definitely also had the similar idea of just not having experiences as a teenager, particularly because I'm a lesbian, as is Cody, and there's just not quite the same dating pool as you get for straight people. So I definitely really heavily related to her, and I think this is just such a moving kind of coming of age story in the same way that Perks is. Next up, I think that if you enjoyed Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, you will really enjoy A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. And I've not yet read Ninth House, so I can't comment on it completely knowingly, but from the vibe I get from the premise that I've read, this very much seems like it would pair well with A Lesson in Vengeance. And I think this would also pair well if you want to read Ninth House, but you're a bit put off because it's very heavy content-wise. and I certainly know that definitely put me off for a while. But A Lesson in Vengeance has a very similar kind of premise and trope usage. Maybe trope's not the kind of right word, but so many of the same archetypes in the story that I think that it would be a very good alternative if you're looking for a young adult kind of version to Ninth House. So yes, these both take place at very prestigious schools. In Ninth House you're at a university, you're at Yale I believe, whereas you're in a high school in A Lesson in Vengeance following a senior. And both of these characters have suffered a tragedy and they've had someone close to them murdered or been kind of involved in the death of someone, and dealing with that and being haunted by that. And at their schools they each dabble in the occult and get into witchcraft, and there's all these secret societies and things like that going on. Definitely the same kind of dark academia vibe, and I just think that people will really enjoy A Lesson in Vengeance. I certainly did. So this follows Felicity Morrow, who is returning to try her senior year again after having to drop out due to some mental health issues and just health issues in general following her best friend's death. But what everyone else doesn't know is that Alex wasn't just Felicity's best friend. She was her girlfriend, and Felicity is a lesbian but closeted at the moment, and she is coming back to the school and being kind of entrenched into this world again, and it's reminding her of her studies of witchcraft and the occult and how this all got very much in her head, and she's convinced she's haunted by Alex and also by the ghost of the founder of the school's daughter, who was killed for being a witch. And so this is all wrapped up in her head. She's really dealing with this internally and working through it. And then she meets Ellis. Now Ellis is this prodigious young writer who's transferred to their school, and she is very interested in these previous witch trials at school and the deaths of these 5 girls. They call them the Dalloway 5. And she ropes Felicity into this kind of investigation, and she, as a writer, I think they describe it as like method writing, the same way method actors really get into a role to perform it accurately. She does the same with writing and must kind of write lived experiences. And so this takes them on a very dark path, and this has got the most gorgeous writing, atmospheric. It's really just leaning into the dark academia vibes so well. It's got all this pretentious literary fiction kind of vibes, as well as your gothic, horror, thriller vibes. It's just phenomenal. I adored reading this. I think especially the character work is so clever and just a joy to read, honestly. Everything about it I loved. The setting, the dark academia vibes that they're all going for so pretentiously, with like the blazers and the elbow patches and like sitting in a circle in the woods to recite poetry. Like they go all out for the aesthetic. I love it. It's just really good and dark, and I did not see at all where it was going. It is so good. Next up, if you enjoyed Twilight, I think that you'll enjoy The Lost Girls by Sonia Hartle, which releases in September. So if you've ever wondered what happens after Twilight, what happens if Edward just grows bored after he turns Bella and they fall in love and just leaves her? Well, you get the answer in The Lost Girls. So this follows a main character called Holly, who has fallen in love with this vampire and been turned by him in 1987, but then he breaks up with her, and she's just like, what do I do now with all of this eternity before me? Until that is, she's approached by 2 other girls that he claimed to love and then ditched, and they all team up to work together to stop him from doing this to another girl. However, this grows very complicated when Holly starts having feelings for his new target, and this just sounds so good. And I'm just loving the vampires, the sapphic vampires, the girls teaming up together against the bastard men who hurt them. Just this kind of idea of what could happen if just Edward got bored with Bella. Like, what would happen? I think that's just so interesting and really like plays with our kind of very popular vampire novel structures, where the vampire will turn the human and they live together forever, happily ever after. And it's like, do they really? And this examines when they don't. And I have not yet read this one, but I'm very excited to. I think it's going to be just an absolute blast. It sounds so good. Next up, if you enjoyed The Maze Runner, I think that you will enjoy Gearbreakers by Zoe Hanamakuta. So what I'm going for here, right, is in The Maze Runner, you've got some kids trapped in the centre of a maze, and when they try and explore it, they are attacked by these huge mechanical monsters called grievers. And I've kind of likened these grievers to the mechas in Gearbreakers, who are really the kind of weapon of this power over these kids is trying to take them down. And then in the sequel to this book called The Scorched Trials, it really takes place in the scorched, this desert, and like that's the Badlands and gearbreakers, and it's just kids in an impossible situation fighting against oppressors and these powers over them, these corrupt governments. And I don't know, I just thought it had the big monster vibes, the Badlands desert vibes, all of that that I love in Gearbreakers. So Gearbreakers follows a dual point of view between Sona and Eris. These are two girls on kind of opposite sides of this war. And so Sona is a pilot. This means that she can pilot these massive, horrible mecha monsters. They're several hundred feet big, and they're really just used by the city Godolia that she lives in to control everything outside and to try and conquer it. And she does not agree with Godolia's ethos, and she really wants to take it down from the inside, but you know, she's one girl, what can she do? That is until Eris is taken into the academy as a prisoner where Sona is, and the two girls team up to destroy the Empire together. So Eris is a Gearbreaker. This means that she takes down these massive mecha monsters, just a little tiny little human against big bad machines. And so the Gearbreakers are all fighting against the Godolia, and Sona wants in, so they fight their way out together and maybe team up and fall in love while they're at it. And this book's got a massive like found family vibe, and I adore it. It's got enemies to lovers romance. It's done so well. I just loved the flirting and the banter between these two girls once they kind of got over the whole enemies bit. You've just got such fun dynamics between all the characters. You've got absolutely gorgeous atmospheric writing, and it's just so good. And it's got all these fun questions too of like what it means to be a god, because that's what Sona is when she pilots a mecha. She is this massive just creature that can kill anything in its path. But then you've also got what it means to kill a god, because that is what Eris and the Gearbreakers do, and it's just, oh, so good. I adored this book. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I'm waiting for my copy to arrive. It's taking its time, and I just want to hold it because, like, look at that cover. And finally, if you enjoyed the Lunar Chronicles, I think that you'll really enjoy The Grimrose Girls by Laura Polo, which releases at the beginning of November. So this reimagines 4 fairy tale characters in this kind of dystopian sci-fi world, and they all team up and become friends to fight against the evil oppressor. Well, in the Grimrose Girls, these 4 reimagined fairy tale characters are all best friends at this very elite boarding school, and when one of them goes missing and is murdered, these 3 have to team up together along with a new girl to solve their friend's murder. So you've got fairy tale characters in a completely different setting, all becoming pals, and I just loved that so much about this series. And so I'm very excited to read about that in the Grimrose Girls as well. And so I kind of gave like the overarching plot synopsis already for the Grimrose Girls, but during their kind of quest to solve this murder, they uncover dark secrets about themselves and their destinies, and how they're all just doomed to repeat a cycle, and they want to find out how to break it. And this just, it sounds so good. It's got a bit of a dark academia vibe I'm getting, which I love. You've got sword lesbians, sapphic pairings, you've got an arrow ace main character. It just sounds so damn good. I'm just so ready to love it. I have an ARC, so I will be reading this one sometime soon, and I will be able to tell you all about it then. So yes, that has been the 6 book recommendations based on popular books. I hope that you have enjoyed, you found a new book you want to pick up. I'm so just in love with all these books I've recommended, or I'm hoping to be in love when I read them for the 2 that I haven't yet. And yes, as always, I'll have links to all of these books down below if you want to add them on Goodreads, as well as my social media, my wishlist, my bookshop affiliate, all of that good stuff if you could ever need it. I also want to put a little reminder that I have a book club now and a Discord server to go along with it for anyone who wants to talk about sapphic books, so you'll find all that information down below as well. And yes, just thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you with another video soon.